There's a saying that goes, retirement is the only period in your life when time no longer equals money. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rodney Jojo Egan, and I am your moderator for today. We have all gathered here this morning for an important reason. A reason that is very dear to the EcoBank Group and to you as well. This reason speaks to the kind of life each and every one of us intends to have after retirement. EcoBank believes retirement planning is no longer a luxury for the elite, but rather a necessity for every worker in today's age and time, and is therefore ready to provide the requisite knowledge, the right information, opportunities to our clientele base and beyond, as well as to partner with you on the journey of retirement planning. And in doing so, we have created this avenue today. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to this much-awaited webinar on the topic, retirement planning. With your convenience in mind, this webinar has been structured per the following. We will take our opening address, after which we will have our speaker take us through the topic. Kindly note, you can ask all your questions in the Q&A section provided on the Teams platform, and they will be conveniently addressed after the presentation. To take the opening remarks, we are very honored to have Mr. Daniel Saki, who is the Regional Executive for the Anglophone West Africa region of the EcoBank Group, as well as the Managing Director of EcoBank Ghana Limited. Shall we welcome him, please?
Thank you very much, Rodney. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you once again on behalf of EcoBank to this webinar. These webinars are designed to add value to your business and to all of us as individuals who are customers and those who are yet to be customers of EcoBank. And the value that we want to add in terms of the decision making really has to do with providing vital information regarding investment information. And we also want to offer solutions that will support wealth creation, financial planning, and to ensure your overall welfare, both as individuals and as groupings. We appreciate every one of you for taking time off your schedules today to join us, but I'm sure that by the end of the day, or by the end of the webinar, you will realize that this is time well spent. This edition of the webinar series is organized by our Securities, Wealth, and Asset Management business. They currently manage $1 billion of investment assets and around $2 billion in custody assets across our platform in Africa. As a banking group, EcoBank is interested in both the working life of our customers and their well-being after actively working. That is why we are dedicating today's webinar to retirement planning. But the question is, why retirement planning? Why do we even need to retire? It's important to state at this point that everybody is very, very clear that one, you can't work forever. When you are young, you have all the time, all the energy to work. And as you approach that magical retirement age, the energy, of course, reduces. And that is when you then need to take time off work and enjoy whatever you have left of this life. So retirement planning is important if we know that you can't work forever. Even for those running their own businesses, it is also very clear that you cannot work forever. The second reason why we think this webinar is important is also inflation. As you know, what 10 cedis could buy 5 years ago, we cannot say the same today. That 10 cedis 5 years ago can buy the same amount of goods or services today. So inflation kicks in. And if you've not planned how to manage during the retirement phase of your life, then you will find out that your income or your revenue keeps dwindling. So it is important to plan. If there's inflation, then of course, you then realize that it is good to form a savings habit. This savings habit will help you plan for the future and to meet your needs even in the midst of rising inflation. Another reason why retirement planning becomes more important and why this webinar is even essential for all of us is that as you grow, so also do your medical expenses. So clearly, you then need to have access to some funds when you are not earning a regular income to be able to take care of your medical expenses. And I think the other common reasons to all of us is that you cannot depend on your family forever, because we all know you start work, you educate your children, you look after them so that when you are old, they also look after you. But this morning, I was reminded by Paul that you can't depend on your family forever. So clearly, there is a need for all of us to start planning. And I'm quite happy with the composition of the people who have tuned into this webinar. It shows that the greater number of people are from the informal sector. So if you think about the fact that even for those of us who contribute towards the SNP pension, according to the GRA statistics, only 2% out of the 70% who pay taxes. And if you compare taxes to setting money aside for your pension, then clearly very few people are setting money aside for their pension. That also means that if we say today that employment in Ghana is largely made up of the informal sector, then it also means that over 70–80% of us do not have any formal pension schemes to fall upon. That is an even more greater reason why planning is important. Planning is important to ensure that you can comfortably retire when you can't work, when you are not in a position to earn the sort of income level that you are earning today, and when you have higher medical expenses. I am sure that by the end of this webinar, we will find answers to some of these questions. It is our hope at EcoBank that this webinar will go a long way to guide you as you prepare for retirement. And that means not just any retirement, a good and healthy retirement. I'll pause here, ladies and gentlemen, and hope that you enjoy the session and find it very informative. I now hand over to our moderator, Rodney, who will guide us through the agenda and introduce the speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Saki, for the opening remarks and for setting the ball rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, we are quite fortunate today to have a seasoned investment banker, a public and inspirational speaker in the person of Mr. Paul Kofi Mante. Paul Kofi Mante is currently the Managing Director of EDC Investments Limited, the asset management and wealth management business of the EcoBank Group. He currently supervises the management of over 3.6 billion Ghana cedis. Mr. Paul Mante has worked extensively for the UNDP and the government of Ghana on the Promoting Private Sector Development Program. Beyond work, Paul has authored 4 books on wealth management and financial literacy, and he is also a sought-after speaker on these subjects on television and radio stations, as well as other fora and platforms in several countries. Paul holds an MBA in finance from the University of Ghana Business School. He has also received training on strategic leadership at the Harvard Extension School. Paul is an elder of the Church of Pentecost and is currently the area deacon for Kaswa. He is also a board member of the Church of Pentecost Chairman's Education Foundation. Paul is married to Linda and together have been blessed with 4 lovely sons. Ladies and gentlemen, speaking to us this morning on the topic retirement planning, Mr. Paul Kofi Mante.
Many thanks to you, Rodney. Please confirm you can see my screen, Rodney.
I confirm that, sir. I can see your screen.
Thank you. Okay, so I am excited to take participants through this important webinar. And many thanks to Mr. Daniel Saki for that remark. And I would want to pick where he concluded from, that we want to help you plan for your retirement, but not just your retirement, a good and healthy retirement. A good and healthy retirement. Ladies and gentlemen, I am walking you through the topic retirement planning. We would look at a background, I'll look at an introduction, pensions definition put into perspective. We will look at investing towards your retirement, some money mistakes you need to avoid towards retirement, and then during retirement, a few recommendations and then the conclusions. Feel free to share your questions as we go along. You have comments, you have contributions, and I encourage you to also share the link with a colleague, with a friend, with a family member, so they can join and then benefit. As we go through life, as we go through the journey of life, where we would need to be planning along the way. Whether you are a student, just married, new parent, single parent, among other things, you need to be planning. And when you are retiring, you also need to be planning towards your retirement. What is the current state of retirees? There are several publications, and Mr. Daniel Sackett nailed it when he shared a few statistics. But there was a publication in the Business and Financial Times last year that said 82% of all people on pension were on a monthly pension of less than 1,000 Ghana cedis. Can you believe that? I want you to imagine the bankers, the engineers, the public servants, the teachers and all that. Imagine it. And the publication said that 82% of them were on a monthly pension of less than 1,000 cedis. For the publication said or stated that 52% were on a monthly pension of less than 500 cedis or up to 500 cedis. That is less than $100. And some of them would have worked for several years, 20 years, 30 years. I just want you to understand the current situation of a number of retirees and the reason why we need to take this conversation extremely serious. Last year, to be specific, October, I had a man come into my office who had worked for 35 years. And according to him, the retirement lump sum he had after 35 years of work was 10,500 cedis. And he was on a monthly pension of 350 cedis a month. Ladies and gentlemen, as the man was talking to me, he was shaking. And I really needed to provide him the support we do for people who come to us. Again, a teacher met with me the other day who had worked for 27 years, and the lump sum she had was 17,000 Ghana cedis. We can go on and on. There was a publication, I believe this year, of a gentleman who had worked for 32 years. We all know somebody we have seen on TV over the years, and after 32 years had 20,000 cedis of lump sum. The point I'm making is the current state of retirees makes it very important to have this conversation. Let me drop in two stories quickly and I proceed. I joined EcoBank in 2007, been managing a number of people who are on pension. And for these people who are on pension, who plan for their retirement, ladies and gentlemen, they are having a good retirement. I remember one client inviting me home to have a conversation, and he had a simple request. This is somebody who was on pension when I joined EcoBank in 2007 and who is still on pension. He had a simple request: Paul, release money and let's buy 2 brand new cars. One Corolla, one Fortuner. Corolla for town riding, the Fortuner for funerals and other things. And this is somebody who is on pension. I remember another client who retired, I think 2018, asked me to come home for a conversation. He had a simple question. Paul, for the money you have been managing for me, how much interest do I make every month? I checked and he was making average interest of 60,000 cedis every month, 60,000 a month. And then his question was this, that look, if I can make 60,000 a month, why don't you pay me 30,000 every month, just half of the interest? And I go like, you are on pension. What do you need 30,000 a month for? He said, for spending. Paul, my retirement plan is to spend 1,000 a day. So in fact, the 30,000 was supposed to be for 30 days. And he took that every month. As I am talking to you, he's increased it to 40,000 a month. And this is just around half of his interest. So we have very bad, horrible stories, but there are also very good stories of people who plan their retirement. And there is nothing more fulfilling than spending time with these elderly clients, they sharing their stories and telling you how they did it. The period of retirement is a necessary period that most men and women will experience at a point in time. It's important to state that we know that there are a number of people who have joined all over the world, but we would use a number of examples from Ghana. The principles and the concepts will be the same. So in Ghana, the age for retirement for formal sector employees is 60 years. As people created by God, we will certainly go through the phases of life. The phase when one is a child, you are in school, you are studying, the phase when you are youth, the phase when you start working, and most of us on this webinar are within the phase where we are working. But you need to remember that you will also get to the stage when you will be old. You can't do anything about that. There is a lot of fulfillment in attaining old age. And that period must be one which we all look forward to, as supported in the following biblical scriptures. Proverbs 20:29, the glory of the young man is their strength, or the glory of young men is their strength. Gray hair, the splendor of the old. And let me add another one from Proverbs 16:31. And it says, gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained in a righteous life. The point I want to make here is we should be able to look forward to retirement rather than the situation where you find people even reducing their ages because they are afraid of retirement. Let's pick some definitions so we can understand the subject matter. So when we talk about retirement, we are talking about the act of leaving your job and stopping working, usually because you are old. When you go back a few generations, retirement was defined as a period of time when you are too sick to work, but too well to die. Can you believe that? A period of time when you are too sick to work, but too well to die. And let's remember the Industrial Revolution, the time when people work in the factories, and it required a lot of physical energy to be working. So you get to a point where you don't have the physical energy to be working. You are too sick to work, but you are not also dying. You are too well to die. So they say retire, go and be home. And you see, this definition does not make retirement endearing to a number of people. And people don't look forward to retirement. But this is a huge misconception. I want to pick a few other definitions that will put retirement into perspective. So retirement, the period of retirement should not be associated with such doom and then gloom. A child with some pensioners with a brighter outlook to retirement give birth to some wonderful perspectives regarding what retirement really and truly meant. And I will pick a few of them. The time to pursue my passion. Retirement, the time to pursue my passion. Retirement, when I leave the rat race, enjoy the human race. Retirement, when every week is 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. Retirement, when you stop living at work and begin working at living. And the reason why we are doing this is that when it comes to retirement, you on this webinar would have the same perspective about retirement. Now, it's also important to let you know that when it comes to retirement planning, it has to do with seeing with your mind eye the retirement you want to have, and then making adequate and deliberate plans towards the retirement your mind eye see. So you need to see it first with your mind eye. There is a law called the law of first creation. The law of first creation states that everything is created twice, first mentally and second physically. Without the first creation, you cannot have the second creation. And your retirement will be created twice. First mentally, your mind eye need to see it first, and then second physically. Ladies and gentlemen, retirement is more than one-off passage from work. It is far bigger than a certain age. So when you talk about retirement planning, people just think about a certain age, 60 years. It is bigger than a certain age. And it's important to state that when it comes to retirement planning, a number of us just focus on the financial aspect of a person's life. But retirement planning includes financial and non-financial aspects. The non-financial aspect that people may take for granted includes simple things like thinking about the health life you want to have during retirement. What kind of health life do you want to have? How much time do you want to spend with your family and then friends? And what preparation are you making towards that? Do you want to go back to school for further studies? Or you learn something new that you didn't have the opportunity to learn when you were working? Last year I was in a graduation ceremony, and I was very fortunate to meet an 80-year-old woman, 80 years, who had gone back to school and she was graduating. Another aspect is traveling, sightseeing, going to places you were not able to see when you were working. Another very important one people take for granted is estate planning. What happens after your death must matter to you, and you need to plan for that. And also giving back to society during retirement. For example, teaching for free. For example, approaching that school in your neighborhood and becoming a counselor with your rich experience. You don't need to collect anything from the school, and you could share, you give back to society. Why I will want to touch on why retirement, why personal financial planning is important towards retirement, because there are a number of reasons. Mr. Saki touched on some of them. One, low monthly pension payment in a number of developing countries, including Ghana. And remember, I touched on the Business and Financial Times publication that stated that 52% of people on pension were getting monthly pension of less than 500 cedis. Number two, personal financial planning for retirement makes it easy to have a great retirement. Number three, we are living longer than some few years back because of research and access to medical care and all that. So you'll be surprised you may live to 90 years. And one of the things that must never happen to anybody is to run out of money whilst you are growing old. So we are growing old, life expectancy has increased, and it makes it important to plan. Number four, escalating healthcare costs during retirement. As you are growing, your healthcare cost is likely to increase. It makes it important to plan for that. Number five, you may not have the energy to work during pension, even if you want to work. Number six, you may not find a job to do during pension. I mean, young ones are struggling to find jobs, and you after 60, you want to get a job. Of course, it's important to state that depending on what you did during your working years, you can also position yourself such that you would have opportunities to work if you want to. Number seven, you may not be able to depend on your children. Number eight, the fragmentation of the family system. I mean, now the focus has been more on nuclear family rather than the extended family. So if you are just going and it's connected to number seven, you just want to depend on your children, you may be disappointed. The children may genuinely want to help, but they may not be capable of helping. So let's take care of the children. It's our responsibility to take care of the children, but it's our responsibility to also plan for our old age, to plan for our retirement. And the last one I want to touch on is inflation. Inflation. In other words, what you can do with 10,000 cedis today, in 10 years, you cannot do with it because the purchasing power would have gone down. That makes it important to plan towards retirement. An interesting retirement table. And almost everybody on this webinar who is up to 60 years, from 21 years up to 60 years, will find your year of birth on this table. There are actually two tables. So look at the table carefully, you will find your year of birth. Once you find your year of birth, next to it, you would find your age. Once you find your age, next to it, you would find the number of years you are left to retire. And once you find the number of years you are left to retire, next to it, you find the number of salaries you are left to take before you retire. So for example, if you were born in 75, you should know that you are 45, and you should know you have 15 years to retire, and you should know you have 180 more salaries to take. That is on condition that you would have a job till you are 60. Please locate your year of birth, locate the number of salaries you are left to take before you retire, and let's proceed. Locate yourself and let's proceed. I hope nobody gets upset with this table, but this is the reality we need to confront. Okay, how to plan towards your retirement? From a very simplistic point of view, you want to build up income generating asset and live on the interest or your returns. It's as simple as that. That is a very simplistic point of view. So somebody can say, look, I want to build up to 1 million cedis as my retirement fund. And if I can get an average interest of 18%, that would be 180,000 a year divided by 12. That is 15,000 a month. So I will live on the return on my investment, as simple as that. But that is a very simplistic way of looking at it. So the other thing is you want the retirement fund or your lump sum to be there. You are not touching it, and you just live on the interest. One of my old men who is on retirement made an important statement the other day. He said, Paul, you never swallow retirement fund. You just lick around it. He spoke in P. He said, retirement sika 1 minute won't retirement sika watafro. Literally meaning you don't swallow it, you lick around it. But a more technical approach when you come to us would be to ask you a number of questions. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to exit my slides, and then I would walk you through a retirement planner. So let me exit my slide, and this is a tool we use to help people who come to us who need help to plan towards their retirement. So this is a tool we use. We call it the retirement planner. Rodney, confirm you have my slide.
Yes, I do. I can see it.
Good. So let's look at, so we'll ask questions when you come to us. Look at somebody who is 45 years and he would want to retire at 60. And let's say life expectancy, because we want to make provision for this person, life expectancy of 35, 85 years. We would have to use some assumptions and hold them constant. Assumption number one is that long-term interest rate after retirement will be 15%. Assumption number two is long-term expected inflation is going to be 10%. So let's say this person says, look, when I retire, if I were retiring today, or monthly withdrawal at retirement in today's value is 3,000 cedis. In other words, if I were retiring today, 3,000 Ghana cedis is enough to give me a comfortable life. Mr. Saki touched on the concept of inflation. So what this tool is going to do, don't forget this person is 45 and is looking at 3,000 in today's value. So this tool will use the inflation rate of 10% to give us the future value of the 3,000 at age 60, so that we protect the value of this 3,000. But because this gentleman or lady is going to be making provision up to 85, we are also going to be increasing the annual, the withdrawal from pension by 10% every year. And we can keep changing this to fit your situation. Now, we also take it that this person does not have any lump sum today, zero lump sum, but we can invest and get to 18% today, 18% today in investment. Okay, so let's look at the results of this person. And I want you to keep an eye on this table. So the monthly withdrawal for this person is going to be 12,532. Look at it. Today's time, we are looking at 3,000. That is how powerful inflation is. Today's time, we are looking at 3,000 a year. In 15 years' time, because of the inflation of 10%, we are looking at 12,532. I want you to write this number somewhere, this figure somewhere. 12,532. But this person would have to be contributing 2,493 cedis every month to have this retirement. And remember, this 12,532 cedis is going to increase by 10% every year from age 61 till age 85. Keep your eye on the monthly deposit, 2,493 cedis. But you see, this person is already 45. If he doesn't act now and delays for 5 years, he's going to be 50. And once he is 50, the monthly commitment changes from the 2,493 cedis to 6,462 cedis. You know why? Because now he has only 10 years instead of 15 years to plan. The point is, the closer you are getting to 60 years, the more difficult it becomes. Now, let me go back and don't forget our figures of 12,500 and then 2,493 cedis. What I am going to do is only to change the age from 45 to 30 and look at the impact from 45 to 30. Immediately, the monthly withdrawal changes quickly from the 12,000. If you remember, I asked you to put it down, from 12,532 cedis to 52,000 a month. 3,000 in 30 years' time moves from the 3,000 cedis inflation adjusted of 10% to 52,000 a month. But you see, the monthly contribution reduces from the 2,493 cedis to 803 cedis. The younger you are, the easier it becomes. So the first scenario, when the 45-year-old man was going to take 12,000, he was supposed to contribute 2,400. But the 30-year-old person is going to be taking 52,000. But now the contribution has reduced significantly to 803,000. The point is, the younger you are, the easier it becomes. Let me throw in just one more scenario and I will exit the planner. But assuming that this 30-year-old person had 50,000 cedis lump sum to start, look at what happens to the monthly contribution. Immediately, the monthly contribution reduces from the 803 cedis to 94 cedi a month. Can you believe that? The younger you are, the easier it becomes. You've got to talk to a financial planner now. Don't take this lightly. I will exit this planner and then I would go back to our slides for us to proceed. Rodney, please confirm you can see my slide.
Yes, sir, I can see the slide.
Good. And let me use the opportunity to say this. A number of HR managers gave me a call this morning that they are getting their employees to join. This conversation must be part of orientation for new hires, because the younger you are, the easier it becomes to be planning. Now, let me touch on investing towards retirement. You should keep this in mind. There is always a relationship between risk and returns. There is always a relationship between risk and returns. Where the return is very high, the risk is also high. Let's keep this in mind. You cannot eat your cake and have it. I meet so many people who want higher returns and they cannot appreciate the fact that they may be taking on avoidable risk. Now, when it comes to investing towards your retirement, where can you invest your funds? And it's important. Let me also state that I am looking at retirement planning here as if it all depends on you. All the analysis we've done, I didn't consider those who are on slate. It's like it all depends on you. Of course, we don't have all the time. If you want us to factor in the slate to help you plan and all that, you come to us, we will do that. That shouldn't be a problem at all. One area you could look at is property investment. But you see, whenever you are building or buying a house, keep this in mind. It's either for consumption or for investment. If you are building to live in, then it's for consumption. If you are building to rent out, to make money off it, then it's for investment. So keep this in mind when you are buying a property or you are building. Now, if it is for investment, We have all heard the statement that you can never get it wrong with properties. But I want to tell you that most of the time we get it wrong. Investing in properties or houses could be great if you get the model right, but could be very challenging if you get it wrong. The return on properties can be overhyped. Properties, or if you want to invest in real estate towards your retirement, they come with their own challenges, including but not limited to one, low occupancy. I've seen properties that have been available the last 2 years, the last year, the last 3 years, waiting for people to occupy. 2, destructive tenants. 3, low rental income. 4, deterioration and refurbishment. I've seen a lot of property owners who take their rent advance or whatever it is called, only to refurbish the property for the next tenant. If you want to look at property as an investment, it's about location. Location is big. It's location, location, location. You don't get the location right, it can be a complete waste of money. Last year, one man came to see me who was planning for retirement, who had built up to 300,000 Ghana cedis. And his retirement plan was to build a property with the 300,000. I asked him to hold on, go to the neighborhood, check the rental income on the kind of property you want to build. He came back, and the average rental income was going to be about 800 cedis a month. 800 a month. I asked him to hold on. You are investing 300,000 cedis, excluding the land, and you are getting 800 cedis a month. Do you know that if we invested that 300,000 cedis at the conservative interest rate of, let's say, even 14%, even 14%, which is conservative, 14% interest rate, look at what we are getting. We are getting something like 42,000 a year. 42,000 divided by 12 gives us 3,500 a month. So my point is, if you can put this in some treasury bill, or you talk to us, we put it in some decent investment, almost risk-free, and you can get 3,500 a month. Why do you want to commit it and get 800 cedis a month with all the challenges that comes with properties, low occupancy, destructive tenant, low rental income, deterioration and refurbishment, among others? You can also invest in fixed deposit. And when we're talking about fixed deposit, we are talking about depositing your money with a financial institution for a fixed period. So you can do 3 months, 6 months, 1 year for a fixed period, for a fixed rate. And you can do fixed deposit with banks, with savings and loans, with microfinance, among others. If you are not clear, you can talk to a financial planner or an investment advisor to provide you guidance on what to do. The other area you could also look at is shares or equities. Putting your money in shares or equities, especially listed equities on the Ghana Stock Exchange or other regulated exchanges, could be great if you get a model right, but it could also be risky. If you get it right, you could make very decent returns. And it's important to state that when you invest in equities, you are likely to have 2 kinds of returns. You get capital gains when the price appreciates, and you also get some dividend at the end of every year. But definitely, if you want to look within this space, talk to somebody who understands it. Another area you could invest in would be treasury bills and then treasury bonds. And when I talk about treasury bills, treasury bonds, this deals purely with lending your money to government at a fee. This type of investment is largely considered to be risk-free, as government is seen as an entity that will not default. You will almost always get your money back. And you can easily do this through your bankers. You can talk to your banker today that, look, I want to buy some treasury bills, some treasury bond. You don't have a bank account, you go to any EcoBank branch, and we have people in the branches who will be available to help you with buying treasury bills and then treasury bonds. Let me proceed. The other area, and it's one of the areas I am big on, is collective investment schemes. Collective investment schemes. And when we talk about collective investment schemes here, we are talking about pool funds that are managed on behalf of investors by a professional money manager, by a licensed money manager. The person must be licensed, the company must be licensed. Collective investment schemes in Ghana takes the form of either mutual funds or unit trusts. and are mostly open-ended. There are different types you could invest in. And I want to touch on 3 classifications. One of them is what is called the fixed income fund, or if you want, the money market funds. This type of collective investment schemes invest solely in fixed income securities, such as treasury bills, corporate bonds, treasury note, commercial papers, among others. Fixed income. They don't buy shares in here. It's purely fixed income securities. The other classification will be equity funds, and that is the direct opposite of the fixed income. The equity funds focus on investing in equities, especially on shares listed on stock exchanges. That will be the equity funds. But between the fixed income and the equity funds, you can also have what we call the balance fund, which is in between. This type is a hybrid, where part of the money is invested in fixed income or money market, and part is invested in equities. I am big on collective investment schemes because it's very simple to get on board, and you don't need much. There are collective investment schemes. We have some with 20 cedis, you can start. With 50 cedis, you can start. And the requirement is not so strict. If you have your ID, national ID, valid one, you have a utility bill, or you have your digital address. You don't have a utility, you have your digital address, because we will check that. And you have your passport picture, minimum 50 cedis. Even today, you can start. At any EcoBank branch, fixed income fund, you can start. So I am big on collective investment schemes because it's very easy to get on board, and it's very easy to exit. If you want to get out, you can get in and get out as often as you wish. But in investing in either fixed income or CIS, collective investment schemes, or fixed deposit or treasury bills, it's important to understand the concept of little by little and the power of compounding. You do it little by little, and you use the power of compounding. How does the power of compounding work? It works this way: where you invest, you don't take your interest, and you allow the interest to make interest, and with time, your principal will make interest whilst your interest is making interest. And once your interest is making interest, the original principal is still making interest, and all the new interest would make interest. So interest on interest makes interest, and old interest makes interest. Principal is still making interest, new interest is making interest, and the money keeps growing. Let me take a quotation from Brian Tracy in his book entitled Laws of Business Success. He said, and I quote, "John D. Rockefeller started working as a clerk, earning $3.75 per week. From this amount, he gave out to his church and saved 50 cents. It wasn't much, but it was the beginning. By the time he was 50, he was perhaps the richest man in the world." And the good book says in Proverbs 13:11 that dishonest money dwindles away, but he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. He who plans towards retirement little by little will have a great retirement. You don't need super income to do this. You need steady income. In fact, 2 things you need to appreciate, so you will appreciate the power of compounding, is consistency, where you are consistent, and you will need time. It won't happen in 1 year, it won't happen in 2 years. I say, look, 5 years to 25 years, 30 years, everybody can plan and have a decent retirement. Let me explain the difference between simple interest and then compound interest. So let's look at the situation of 100 cedis invested for 5 years at 20%. Simple interest means that we are making interest only on our principal. So we are making interest of 20%, which is 20 cedis in the first table, only on 100 cedis. So we make 20 cedis every year for 5 years. 5 years, 20 cedis every year is going to be 100 cedis. If we add that to our principal, so you realize that year 2, we have 240. By the 5th year, we have 200 cedis, which is our interest of 100 cedis plus our principal of 100 cedis. But the way the power of compounding works is that we don't take the interest, but we allow the interest to be reinvested. So look at the situation where in year 2, we are not investing 100 cedis, we are investing 120 cedis. So look at the interest for year 2. Now we are making 24 cedis and not 20 cedis because of the power of compounding. Now jump to year 5. Whereas a simple interest, we make an interest of 20 cedis in year 5. For the compound interest, we are making an interest of 41 cedis in year 5. So we end year 5 with 248 cedis, or if you want, 249 cedis, rounding up, instead of 200 cedis. because of the power of compounding. Let me explain 3 levels on which you can operate with the power of compounding, and I'll be rounding up shortly. Level 1 is where you do monthly contribution, and I am using 18%, which I believe it's very achievable, compounded quarterly. Now look at somebody who is investing 1,000 cedis every month. You would realize 1,000 by 12 is 12,000 cedis for the first year. But the interest for the first year is 835 cedis. So we'll end with 12,835 cedis. But look at the year 15. We would have invested a total of 180,000. But interest on that is 688. So we'll end up with 868,000 cedis because of the power of compounding. By year 20, we have 240,000 cedis, growing to 2.1 million cedis because of the power of compounding. By year 30, we have 360,000, growing to 13 million cedis because of the power of compounding. You know what this means? It means that for a young person on this webinar who says, I am 30 years today, I can start committing 1,000 Ghana cedis every month, 1,000 Ghana cedis every month for the next 30 years without even increasing. Means he's going to be retiring with 13 million cedis. Of course, don't forget about the effect of inflation on the 13 million Ghana cedis. But level 2 is where we do a lump sum plus a monthly contribution. So instead of just 1,000, let's start with 50,000 cedis plus 1,000 every month. Now look at the difference it makes. But I want you to focus on year 15, 20, and year 30, just because we don't have time. You realize that year 15, in the situation where we did just 1,000 cedis every month, in year 15, we had 868,000. When we added the 50,000 at the beginning, now we have 1.5 million, from 868 to 1.5 million. In year 20, we moved from the 2.1 million when we didn't add any lump sum, from 2.1 million to 3.8 million. So the 50,000 cedis we invested earlier on is making a major impact on the end result. Look at the year 30. Don't forget, in the 1,000 every month, in 30 years, we're looking at 13 million. Now we moved to 22 million, the second level. But the third level is where I want you to be targeting. Lump sum, monthly contribution, but we want to escalate the monthly contribution by 10% every year. So we are increasing our contribution by 10% every year. Look at the impact. By year 15, we move from the 800,000, between 800 and 900,000 when we're doing just a flat 1,000 for 15 years, to 2 million. In 20 years' time, we have 5.4 million. In 30 years' time, we have 34 million cedis. That is the power of compounding. So these are 3 levels. I encourage you to target the 3rd level. Just for the purposes, and I'll be quick at this, those who have higher income, 2,000 every month, flat. Within 20 years, 480,000 gives us 4.3 million. Within 30 years, 720,000 is giving us 26 million cedis. And this is flat amount. If we added 100,000 to start with, within 20 years, or within even 10 years, 340,000 is 1.2 million. Within 20 years, 580,000 is giving us 7.7 million cedis. Within 30 years, 820,000 is giving us 45 million. And the 3rd level, for people who can do 100K plus 2,000 every month, look at that. Within 15 years, 4.1 million. Within 20 years, 10.9 million. Within 30 years, 69 million. You see, if you understand the conversation we are having, and this kind of investment are so quiet that nobody knows what you have done. You will retire and people will think that you have done sakawa, of you've gone in for something you shouldn't have gone in. Just because you understood this and you gave yourself time. You understood this and you gave yourself time. I want to encourage you, please put your questions in the chat box so we can respond to your questions. And if you are enjoying, get a colleague, get a friend to join quickly. I'll be running up shortly, but at least they can have the benefit of the next few slides. Now, for those who are big on the dollar, I think that we overhype the dollar. I've seen people who buy dollars who do not need the dollar because they think the cedi will depreciate. But look at the depreciation of the cedi. from 2013 to 2019, year on year, you will realize that over the 7 years, the average depreciation is 13.6%. 13.6%. But if you had invested in the EDC fixed income fund over the same period of 13 years, you are making an average of 22.5%. These are true historical figures. 22.5%. So there is no point in just converting your cedis, buying dollars and holding on to the dollars. Of course, we don't know what will happen into the future, but we are guided by what has happened in the past. And if you went back to 1990, to the year 2000, and even when you compare to Treasury, you still realize you are better off investing in cedis than converting to dollars and just holding your dollar. Let me touch on 10 money mistakes to avoid when you are closing into retirement and when you are in retirement, and then we can pick your questions. Number one, being idle. You don't have to be idle when you're in retirement. I encourage you to be active. Do something that will keep you going. Don't retire where you are home doing nothing. It's important to be deliberate about that. It's a mistake because when you are idle, it's likely to have impact on your health. And when it has impact on your health, you will spend more. If you are retired and you are active, you are working and all that, it keeps you healthy. Number two is spending too much too soon. The temptation to go out and splash the lump sum cash given out is high and must be avoided. Family can be demanding and all that. Look, we need to take care of the family, but we also need to plan for retirement. I had a conversation with a group yesterday, and somebody said immediately you get money, it's like people are monitoring you spiritually. So immediately you get money, they start calling you. We need this, we need that. I beg you, retirement money, don't splash it around. Don't spend too much too soon. Number three, committing the retirement fund into capital-intensive projects. Don't retire and say, I am taking my retirement money to go and do real estate. I am taking my retirement money to go and do farming. If you were doing it already and you need to invest some small money, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But don't retire and say, I'm going to start a new project. As much as possible, retire, get yourself active, but do things that require either zero capital or very minimal capital. Protect whatever lump sum you have around during retirement and just lick around it. I want to put it literally. Live on the interest. Don't use the retirement funds for capital-intensive projects. Number four, money mistake is depending on your children because the children may not be in the situation to take care of you. They may be willing, but they may not be able to. So take care of the children, definitely. But let's also make sure that we plan for our retirement. And of course, the number of children and the timing of the children has impact on retirement. I mean, if you retire and your children are still in school, it has impact on your retirement, and we need to keep all this in mind. Number five, money mistake you need to avoid is living in huge mansions. Living in huge mansions because it comes with high utility bills. It comes with high maintenance costs, and you may not be a number of the rooms. So look at that, somebody who is retired, average worker who wants to build a house like this and live in, 7-bedroom house, and you are living in with your spouse and maybe a house help. I would encourage you, get something smaller, very decent. This is a 3-bedroom house. I learned the concept of downsizing the other day when I had a breakfast with a couple who had retired, and I wanted to pay for the breakfast. They said, no, we will take care of that. And I said, but you're on retirement. They said, yes, but we planned and we retired well. And they took care of that. And they explained to me, in fact, this was somewhere in the US. They took me around their first house when they married, when the children were growing and they had a number of children, they moved into a bigger house. And once the children left, they sold off that house, they bought a smaller house, and they took whatever profit margin they made on the property, and they are living on that, living a good life. The man likes motorbikes, they have like 3 motorbikes, they're having a good time. So please don't make the mistake of tiring down your entire working life in a property like this for consumption instead of investment. Another money mistake is having many cars or big engine cars. If you are big on cars, plan for it. Another money mistake is self-inflicted huge medical bills through the lack of exercise and our eating habit. We can avoid that. Another mistake is high-risk investment. You don't take your money towards retirement or when you are 50 plus into risky ventures. You may end up losing that money. Another money mistake is high spending. And the final one is no estate planning, absence of will. I encourage you, having a will does not mean you are going to die. What happens to you after you are dead must matter to you. Who will enjoy your hard work after you are dead must matter to you. So let's take the conversation on estate planning serious. What is our recommendation? And then I'll conclude. Due to the profile of pensioners, the recommendation when it comes to what we invest in beyond retirement, we will recommend the treasury bills, treasury bonds, and collective investment schemes, and sometimes fixed deposit depending on the institution. But even the collective investment schemes, we encourage you to focus on the fixed income funds and the money market funds. Right? Of course, I have the EDC fixed income fund. This is largely because these investments are usually near cash instrument that offers a decent return. Let me say this, for those who are big on properties, and don't get me wrong, I don't have any issue with properties, but you need to have a balance, because if you retire, you have 5 properties and you don't have any liquid investment and you have an emergency, medical or whatever, and you need to raise money at that point, the houses would not matter. But what will matter is what you can easily convert into cash. So such investment can easily be liquidated if need be, and it's the reason why I'm big on that. The period of pension is a time to avoid the speculation that investing in instruments like stocks bring, and the strain that comes with investing in real estate or properties. We are not saying stocks are bad, don't get me wrong. Are people who are on pension who are big on stocks, but you need to understand what you are getting into. Don't jump on board just because people say it is a good area to invest in. Let me touch on the one area you could invest in. One area you could invest in if you retire, and it's the EDC fixed income fund. It's the EDC fixed income fund. These are a few statistics on the fund. So the fund was set up in 2012. It's CD denominated. The fund value at the moment is a little over 1.8 billion cedis. It happens to be the biggest collective investment scheme in Ghana, which is equivalent of $320 million. 1.8 billion. You know what? You need just 50 Ghana cedis to start. Just 50 Ghana cedis. Somebody will ask, what is the maturity date? So one, valuation is done daily. Valuation being done daily means that interest is calculated on a daily basis. So every day you make some interest on your money. What is the maturity date? Every day is maturity date, because you can have access to your money anytime. You jump on board, we charge a small front load, or what we call a subscription fee of 0.5%, and the redemption fee is 0. When you are redeeming your money, you can have it anytime. Look at how the fund has performed compared to the treasury bill over the years. Look at that. From 2013 up to 2019, you realize that year on year, the fund has generated returns higher than treasury bill. Average has been about 3% on top of the treasury bill. Let me break it down. So look at the spread above treasury bill year on year. The best year was 2017, when we did 6.79% above the treasury. 2019, we did 2.35% above the treasury. But of course, the major benefit you have with this fund is the flexibility. Okay, so one, let me talk about 3 things. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm rounding up and I'll pick your questions. So don't go anywhere. Hold on right there. You may have a question that somebody may have asked already, and we will address it. So you have great returns. You have liquidity. Liquidity meaning that you can take out money and you can add money anytime you wish. You have that liquidity. You can even top up with Momo. You can top up with the EcoBank mobile app. You have that flexibility. The other reason is security and the size of the fund. The fund is the biggest fund in Ghana, and it's managed by EDC, which is a member of the EcoBank group. So that should give you some comfort, so you sleep sound at night. And the convenience, you can do this from any EcoBank branch. So you are on this webinar in Sunyani, in Tamale, in Takrady, in Tapua, wherever. You can walk to an EcoBank branch. All you need is your passport picture, any national ID, valid one, of course, and your digital address or utility bills. You don't have the utility bills, pick your digital address. And today, you can come on board. Minimum 50 cedis, and you can put a standing order in place to be topping up, or you can use Momo to be topping up as often as you wish. Let me conclude with a story one of my clients shared with me, who is 87 years today. So this man is 87, but he's very sharp in memory. In fact, he can calculate percentages from memory. So he can look at the statement and tell you, Paul, this is 20% returns. So one day I asked him, and he still goes to work every day. So one day I asked him, why do you still work at age 87 when you have so much to live on? And his response was simple. He said, Paul, I am not working, I am enjoying my life. What I am doing here, you see it as work, but it's something I enjoy doing. I wake up in the morning looking forward to doing this. So it keeps me active, I enjoy it, and I believe that it has a positive impact on my health. So he walks and he uses the Fitbit, does 10,000 steps every day, swims 3 times a week, eats well and all that, and he still finds something doing that he enjoys doing. And I want to encourage you to do the same. Please don't retire and be idle. And he told me all his mates who retired at 60 and sat home idle doing nothing are dead and gone. Please get yourself active. My final slide, conclusion. The period of retirement can be relaxing and fulfilling, or might marriage and tiring, depending on how well one plans for life before and after pension. Psalm 92, 12-14. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will grow like a cedar of Lebanon, planted in the house of the Lord. They will flourish in the courts of our God. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. Ladies and gentlemen, my prayer is that for everybody on this webinar, you have the opportunity to plan for your retirement, so you would have a good retirement, so that even in your old age, you will bear fruit and you would stay fresh and green. May you stay fresh and green and be a blessing to your grandchildren and even your grandchildren in Jesus' name. Amen. And we can say goodbye to tension and hello to pensions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Rodney, over to you for the questions and answers.
Thank you very much, Paul Mante, for such an insightful and explosive presentation. I have learned so much, as I believe we all have. A few key points I took note of that I believe should resonate with us all are that, first of all, it's certainly never too early to start planning towards your retirement. Secondly, you do not need super income to kickstart the process of financial and retirement planning. You rather need steady income. And finally, we ultimately decide what kind of retirement period we will have. It's either going to be one of relaxation and fulfillment or one of nightmare and fatigue. Once again, many thanks to you, Mr. Paul Mante. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, we will gladly take your questions and have our speaker address them accordingly. Kindly note we will endeavor to take as many as time would permit us to.
Rodney, because of the number of questions, I'll go straight to the point. I will answer the questions very briefly. Those we cannot answer, we'll send responses to them so we can take on a number of questions. Over to you, Rodney.
Okay, that's well noted. So our first question is from Enyonam, and she wants to know if it is advisable to retire earlier than the statutory age.
My response to Enyonam will be, why do you want to retire earlier than the statutory age? What do you want to do with your life after that? Don't forget I have advised that don't retire and be idle. So if Enyonam can find something doing that is interesting, and for that reason she wants to retire early, I won't have a problem with that. But don't just retire early and go and stay home doing nothing. And I will encourage those who want to take early retirement, please, your retirement must matter to you. Go to sleep, have a conversation, and fully understand the implications of retiring early. Because if you retire at 55, you take an early pension, you don't get a full pension. So talk to the pension authorities, talk to Senate, and understand the implications of your decision. Jojo, over to you.
Thank you. So Ayona again wants to know if it's best to take one's pension as a lump sum or annuity.
We don't have we are having conversations with a number of insurance companies on the annuity. But it also depends on what you are doing with the lump sum. So it's not a straightforward answer. I need to be clear what Enyona would want to be doing with the lump sum as against the annuity. Annuity means we commit the money somewhere, we get some fixed money on a monthly basis. So Enyona, let's have the conversation. Come to the office. We don't charge money for doing this. We'll provide you advice. We will drill down and help you plan something that is unique to you.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is, and it says, how much can you afford to spend when on retirement?
I'd rather answer it this way. You need to decide now how much you want to spend during your retirement so we can plan for it. Don't forget the retirement planner we use. So if we know how much you want to, and we know a number of people cannot be clear what will happen another 10 years, 15 years. It's the reason why when we are doing retirement planning for our clients, we want to understand how much you will need in today's value. When we know that we can use the inflation rate and all that to give you a projection. And based on that, we can tell you what you need to do to build up a retirement fund that will help you have that kind of enjoyment you want to have.
Okay, thank you, Paul. So our next question is from Mark Segbefia. Mark is asking a very interesting question. He says, why think of retirement when you have current needs, such as health and accommodation needs, to keep living until retirement?
I understand. And it's a very genuine concern. It's something I hear a lot of people raise. So yes, but the thing is, retirement will come. We discussed some 9 reasons why you need to plan for retirement. So you are either saying that I don't care what happens another 10 years, 15 years, because I have pressing needs to deal with today. So we recommend, you see, to make money available for your retirement. And, we have clients, teachers, nurses, drivers, plumbers. We have people who have listened to us. You remember what we had at the International Conference Center at the beginning of the year. People who are very low income came in. Some are committing 50 cedis a month. Some are committing 100 cedis a month. Because you see, there is a law called the Parkinson Law. The Parkinson Law explains why most people retire poor, even after earning substantial income through their working years. The Parkinson Law says that no matter how much people earn, they will always adjust their lifestyle to match their salary. So as salary is increasing, people are adjusting their lifestyle. So there is pressing need. And I've met people. I shared this yesterday where we had the seminar with the church, and I asked, how many of you are struggling with your salaries? Your salary is not enough. Let me see by hand. All the hands went up. I asked a follow-up question. How many of you believe that if your salary is doubled from today, if it is doubled, you will live a comfortable life? You know what? All the hands went up again. I called 10 people to step out, give them pieces of paper. Each person should write their current salary for me. The lowest income earner was on a salary of 350 cedis a month. 350 cedis a month. For some reason, this person believed that if it is doubled, it's going to be enough. How much is a double of that? 700 cedis. But within the 10 individuals, there was one on a salary of, I think, about 3,000 cedis. One on a salary of 11,000, who also thought that it wasn't enough. The highest income earner, and I picked these people at random, the highest income earner was on a salary of 20,000 cedis a month. So the guy earning 20,000 cedis a month says it's not enough. The guy earning 350 cedis a month says it's not enough. It's not going to be enough until we understand the conversation we are having today. You know what? I recommend the 10-20-70 principle. Pay your title 10% if you believe in title like I do. If you don't believe in title, you can still give 10% to society. But minimum of 20% must go into investment. And we need to be consistent at that. Maybe my final one, and because it will address other questions. You see, There are a number of workers. Please put yourself on mute for me, please. There are a number of workers who take loans from banks. And at the time of repayment of the loan, so they take a loan for 3 years, 36 months. And every month, the bank is deducting 500 cedi, 200 cedi, 2,000 cedis. Within that period where the bank is deducting, they survive. They live on what is left. But for some reason, after the last payment, they switch on to the full salary. Because remember, after the last payment, if they were being deducted 1,500 every month, now they are going to have access to that money. But for some reason, they switched, and now they live on the entire amount, and it is still not enough. So look, I am not saying it's easy. It's tough. It's going to be challenging, but it is possible. Rodney, over to you.
Thank you for that detailed answer, Paul. So our next question is, can you invest part of your retirement funds in any business at all?
Many times, Jojo, I think I addressed that. I discourage you from doing that. If you have to do that, don't commit a substantial part of your retirement into a business, because business comes with its own risk. And we also discussed the concept of risk and returns. Where the returns looks great, the risk could also be high. So at that age where you are 60, don't forget the issues we raise on the money mistakes to avoid. You may not find a job and all that. So let's be protective of whatever we have and make sure that we don't speculate with whatever we've been able to build.
Okay, so thanks, Paul. Our next question says, can one realistically survive on the payouts of the tier 1 and tier 2 only?
I can't give a straightforward answer. It depends on, one, your income. So don't forget that tier 1 and tier 2 is a function of your salary. So those who have higher salaries can get decent tier 1 and then 2. Those who have lower salaries will not have anything substantial. But from what I do as a financial planner and the people I interact with and the number of people I've met who are on retirement, it's not easy if you are only relying on tier 1 and tier 2. So that is mandatory. Let's continue to pay tier 1 and tier 2, but we want to encourage people on this webinar to take your future into your own hands and make sure that besides tier 1 and tier 2, you are also planning for your retirement. If you want us to plan for your retirement, sometimes you want to do it as if you don't have tier 1 and tier 2. It gives you a decent retirement so you can enjoy your old age.
Thank you very much, Paul. So our next one has embedded in it a plea for help, and this is from Hetty. Hetty says, I enrolled into a scheme that was affected by the financial sector cleanup exercise. I have only 5 years to retire and I am overwhelmed.
Hetty, I would want to have a one-on-one with you. So make time, we are in the EcoBank head office, come in, we'll get a planner to talk to you, and then we see what we can do to help you plan. Don't be overwhelmed. At this point in time, it's tough, I understand, but we need to be calm and discuss and engage what we could do to help you have a decent retirement.
Thank you very much, Paul. So our next question is, what's the retirement age for someone who is self-employed?
A good question. The person determines his own retirement age for someone who is self-employed. But the retirement age in Ghana generally is supposed to be 60. So I will encourage those who are self-employed to look towards 60s. If you still have energy and you enjoy what you are doing, it does not put pressure on you. You may want to continue. And I mean, there's no problem with being 60, being 75 years and still working, as long as it does not put pressure on you. Don't forget the story of my 87-year-old client.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul, for that. So our next question is also anonymous, and it says, your parents do not have a retirement plan and you foresee them being your responsibility. What measures can you take to secure some sort of a retirement for them, considering the fact that they have less than 3 years to retire?
We need to understand their situation. So they have 3 years to retire. They don't have a retirement plan. Do they have a house they live in at the moment? What kind of house? Where is it located? What is the size of the house? Can we think about the concept of downsizing so we can make some money out of this downsizing for them to live on? And you yourself, are you capable of putting some lump sum away? I have a few clients who have done that, who would open an account and say, I'm putting in 50,000, I'm putting in 20,000, I'm putting in 100,000, and my parents will live on the interest. So every 3 months, whatever interest the funds build, they withdraw and they give to their parents. So there are several things we can do in this situation, but of course, we would also need to ask some more questions so we can understand the situation fully, and then we can provide guidance on what to do.
Okay, thank you very much for that. The next question is from Kwame Fredwa, and Kwame is asking, has EDC created a new product particularly for retirement planning or investment, or is it the case that you are still going to use EDC fixed income and balance fund products to do this particular financial planning?
Kwame, we are coming up with a number of products, so just be on standby. But the point is, you can still use the fixed income fund. It's your money that you say, I want to put away towards my retirement, towards my old age. So it's your money. You can do that in a fixed income fund. But I promise you that we are coming up with a number of new products.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. So the next question is, at age 33, what investment allocations will be appropriate for retirement?
Take the question again.
At age 33, what investment allocations will be appropriate for retirement?
Very, very good question. But the way I would want to answer the question is this, that when it comes to investment, so there are times we ask simple questions like, what is your risk tolerance level? Are you an aggressive risk taker, or you're a conservative person? Because you cannot have one cap fitting everybody. We'll ask simple questions like, what is your investment objective? We'll ask simple questions like your investment horizon. So I cannot give a straightforward answer, but what I would say is get something that is conservative and talk to a planner to make sure that we understand you before we take on risk if we have to. And you can invest in the EDC fixed income fund. You can invest in the EDC fixed income fund. The younger you are, the easier it becomes. Jojo, I just shared something. Can you see it?
Yes, I can see the screen.
Yeah, so when you look at this Excel template, look at somebody who, and the guy said he's 33 years. 33 means he has 27 years to retire, 27 years. If this gentleman says, look, I can put 500 cedis every month, and we are not even escalating. Remember the conversation we had on the future value analysis, the 3 levels. This is just level 1. And don't worry your head about the dollar sign. The value is in cedis. 500 cedis every month at 18%. Within the 27 years, this guy is going to have about 3.8 million cedis. You see, 1,000 cedis every month. 1,000 every month. Within the 27 years, you're looking at 7.8 million. Of course, let's not forget about the impact of inflation. 2,000 every month. For this guy who is 33 years, within 27 years, you're looking at 15 million. We are not even adding any lump sum. For the ordinary person who says, I am a low income earner, all I can do is 200 cedis every month. Even with that, the 27 years, you're looking at 1.5 million cedis, which is very decent. So the younger you are, the easier it becomes. And we are encouraging young people who are on this webinar. Let's take this conversation serious, and you can have a very decent retirement. George, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Paul. So our next question is from Adam Isaswali. Adam is asking, is it too late to start planning of retirement at age 45 years, or one should just forget about it?
No, it is not too late. Even if you are 55 years, it is not too late. Even if you are 59 years, it is not too late. Because don't forget that retirement planning includes what happens before retirement and what happens after retirement. So there is nothing like an age that is too late. David Chilton, the Walter Barber says, the best time to plant an oak tree, if you want to see the benefits of a tree, the best time to have planted a tree was 20 years ago. If you made a mistake 20 years ago, the next best time you need to plant the tree is today. And I say the best time you should have started planning towards retirement was the day you started work. If you didn't do it at that time, whether you are 40, 45, 50, 55, or even 59, the next best time you need to plan it is today. Jojo, let me use the opportunity to say this. Look, we do these seminars and sessions for companies for free. We don't charge any money. So you want us to come and talk to your staff, invite us. I will get somebody to be there to talk to your people, just so that people understand this. And we are encouraging HR managers and owners of companies and CEOs. Let's make financial literacy sessions part of what our staff need to have. For new hires, let's add it to orientation. For staff we have already, periodically, let's have a conversation about money. And remember, retirement planning is just an aspect of financial planning. Financial planning is a bit more extensive. Let's make provision and help staff. And I said, what we are doing here, it's not just profit and loss and salary and all that. We are in business to impact our society, to change lives, to help people secure their future. Jojo.
Thank you very much, Paul. So the next question says, I am already 60. How do I manage my pension funds?
I am sure at the end of the session, we will project some numbers that you can contact, or you send. If you registered, your registration email or the email you got from us came with a certain email address. Please send an email to that address. I will get a consultant, give you a call, and we will tell you what to do. Or you can walk into our office, head office. We are on the second floor, and we can assist you invest your pension fund.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paul. So this next one is also anonymous, and the person probably wants to see your sheet. He says, I have 200,000 with you now. I am 32 years. I don't do monthly top-ups. Can I live on that at retirement? I don't intend to withdraw any amount from it until then.
So I will go back to this, and don't forget that we are using 18%. It doesn't mean the 18%. The guy said what is his current age?
He's currently 32.
32, so he has 28 years to be 60. Without adding anything, and he has how much today with us?
He has 200,000 with us.
200,000 with us. So if he's not adding anything, if we use the 18% compounded quarterly, we're looking at 278 million Ghana cedis at age 60.
Oh, he has 200,000 with us, actually. I think your numbers.
I am sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 200,000. You're looking at something like 27 million cedis. Of course, let's not forget the impact of inflation. The purchasing power of 27 million in 28 years will not be the same as the purchasing power of 27 million today, but it's still going to be very decent amount. It's still going to be very decent.
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. Our next question is from Prince. And Prince is asking, how different is the retirement plan from if you are already in the EDC fixed income fund scheme?
Jojo, it's about you being clear about the future you want. We can do the mathematics, we do the models, and don't forget that we use some assumptions because we cannot tell what is going to happen the next 10 years, the next 20 years. So we look at historical numbers and we use some assumptions. And then based on that, we can do projections and give you an idea the future you should expect.
Thank you very much, Paul. Someone wants to find out how she and her sisters living abroad can open an account with us and then also start planning towards her retirement.
Very good. It's important to state that we have clients from all over the world. Please send. There are two things I would recommend. One, if you registered, you got an email. You can send an email to that email address. But towards the end of this our session, and we are rounding up, we are also going to project our numbers, contact center numbers. We have a WhatsApp number. We have email addresses. We are going to be projecting. You can send an email to us. You can call us, and we will assist you with the process. It's a very simple process to go through.
Okay, thank you, Paul. The last but not the least is, can you do your investment in USD?
give us a call and let's have a conversation. It depends on the amount, it depends on your risk tolerance level, it depends on how long you want to invest the money. So give us a call and we can have a conversation around that. And of course, for companies, Jojo, it's important to state that we also manage provident funds and pension funds for a number of companies. So if you are listening to us and you need a pension fund manager to manage your provident funds, to manage your pension funds, or your company has some idle funds you want to invest, you contact us. We will send a consultant, we'll send somebody to you to help you, and we can manage your provident funds and your pension funds for you.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, many thanks to you, Mr. Paul Mante. At this juncture, ladies and gentlemen, we'll gladly bring our Q&A session to an end. But indeed, should you have further questions concerning the presentation, investment advice, or financial planning in general, kindly feel free to reach EDC Investments Limited via our website, www.ecobank.com/swam. You can also reach EDC on the following numbers: 030-263-4165 and 050-6071-712. Or you can equally reach us via WhatsApp on the number 059-523-5065. Kindly note as well that a recording of this session would be made available on our various social media platforms, which should be projected on your screens at the moment. All too soon, ladies and gentlemen, this informative and exciting webinar on retirement planning has come to an end. We are grateful to all who contributed to bringing this project into fruition, and of course, to you, our clients and invited guests. We as well say a big thank you. We had in attendance a little of over 1,600 people. We want to say a big thank you to you for honoring the invitation. And now to send us off with the closing remarks, we are again very honored to have Mr. Adam Dawoto, who is the current acting group head of the Securities, Wealth and Asset Management business across the EcoBank Group. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Adam Dawoto.
Thank you very much, Rodney. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been an insightful and life-changing engagement by Paul, our head of asset management in Ghana. I've enjoyed the session and I hope that you've all enjoyed the session. As the speakers have said, often in our daily activities, we get engrossed in our career deliverables and neglect to plan for life after work. Our retirement life is supposed to be restful and healthy, and our standard of living during retirement must not get worse or deteriorate from the standards that we are used to when we are working. Having a good retirement requires planning, and I think Paul has done a lot of justice to that. And at EcoBank, we are very committed to helping you on that journey of retirement. Indeed, your welfare is of utmost importance to us in this journey, and your retirement and plan for your active working life it's something that we pay a lot of attention to and want to help you on. We appreciate every one of you for taking time out of your schedules to join us on this webinar. We will be contacting you in the coming days, as Jojo has said, because we want to engage you to see how we can assist you in planning your retirement especially. Thank you once again for making time for this webinar. But I want to say that we will have a lot more of this series coming on, and we expect you to join us and when we invite you. Thank you once again, and thank you for joining us. Have a good day and enjoy the rest of your week.